Hello and welcome to some not so live commentary for Rare's upcoming game, Sea of Thieves. As you can see by that incredibly subtle watermark down the bottom right hand corner of the screen, this was played at Gamescom 2016, which was in August in Cologne, Germany. It's buying a little bit of time because for that black screen which indicates the restart of the demo. This is where everyone who played the demo started. On a beach, with the most obvious course of action being to run over to a ship. I think this was the second time I got to play this. We lucked out and were allowed to replay because one of our crew members came in late because we wanted to play with a full crew of Australians. When there's a game that has grog, that's bound to happen. This is us on the ship to get it underway. Well, there's no tutorials, as you may have noticed, no intrusive UI. I believe that Rare hopes to keep it that way for the final version of the game. We raised the anchor, and as with most things in life, many hands, or in this case many hands and hooked hands, make light work. I think you can get up to 3 or 4 people on the anchor if you need to get out of a spot of bother. And you've got to lower the sails as well. And this is me playing lookout from not an entirely practical position. 3 inventory items were available during the demo. As you can see, the accordion, the plank of wood, which we'll get to later, and the mug o' grog, only 1 per pirate at this stage, which is unfortunate, but you'll get to see some of what that does later on. It is hard not to have a goofy smile on your face, and what you're not hearing is a whole bunch of banter and commentary from, honest to God, completely sober Australian players. I gave Rare a lot of shit for when they released that gameplay video at E3 where they had the kind of picture-in-picture reactions from the players, only to discover that when I went to play it at Gamescom we were doing much the same thing. 1,000 apologies from me to you, Rare. So we're just kind of sitting around at the moment, waiting to get to something of interest. That's Lucky Lou's just taken a Timmy Tumble from the crow's nest. And good to see that my buddy John McMurder is back on the accordion, keeping the tunes going. We're told at night that you might be able to hear a kraken underneath the water. We weren't able to see it or fight it, but that was kind of the developer tease. I'm assuming in the full version of the game it will have a much bigger presence, especially if you watched the E3 2016 cinematic video, which was kind of that not live action, but that run through of a still image to give an idea of the sort of things you can expect from the game, and that's one of my crewmates testing the cannons. As you can see, the sun has come up now, and those white indicators above my head are the wind direction. So in order to get the most speed out of your ship, you have to have your sails lowered and facing in the right direction. When you're piloting the ship, which you won't see, I did not do in this part of the demo unfortunately, you actually can't see too far with the sails down, so you're completely reliant on your crew members being either at the front of the ship as I am, or in the crow's nest, to be able to provide you with sort of directional information, navigation, whether you're about to run into a big bloody rock or whether there are sails on the horizon, which not too long from now, no spoilers, we will see some. Now at this stage we didn't go so well in our first playthrough. I think that we got sunk 2 or 3 times. We picked a lot of fights and came out on the bottom of all of them, unfortunately. But look at this. This is being played on Xbox One, Xbox One S, I believe, to be specific. But we also at Gamescom were shown behind closed doors a 4K version running on PC, and I think this gameplay video that we're looking at right now looks fantastic anyway, but in 4K on PC it looks positively stunning. I'm told that those clouds are 3-dimensional. They've obviously put a lot of time and effort into the sky and the water because you will spend a great deal of time looking at it. This is me frantically running around looking for some sign of life, knowing that the clock is ticking on our demo and we need to kind of hustle up. I believe at this stage we were talking about the idea of visiting an island instead of sinking other ships, but I'm pretty sure I vetoed that pretty heavily because I was hell-bent on sinking another ship. Still nothing on the horizon except for gorgeous, gorgeous graphics. Now the islands are supposed to be fixed, as in there will be a certain element of procedural generation, and certainly there's a big emphasis on emergent narrative being the sorts of stories that are uncovered just through gameplay mechanics. And there's our first ship on the horizon for keen-eyed viewers. And the islands are going to be fixed though, with the intent being the developers kind of wanted you to have some familiarity. So when you're in the ocean and everything kind of looks the same, that island off to the right, sorry, I'm not that great with my nautical terms on the fly, is going to be the same every time. And we put that to use later when we come back for a bit of revenge. The plan initially was to do a sail-by, probably my idea, it's always my idea. But I believe through some democratic process with the crew, we decided that we actually wanted to steal the ship. Now that's our captain heading in probably way too quickly, and that's their crew starting to frantically return to the ship because they have spotted our attempt at creating another fleet. Now that's me on the cannons. That's Rare's music that's kicked in the background, sort of to provide a different soundtrack rather than us just playing the music. We aren't in the best position for stealing this ship or sinking this ship, but the cannons don't have crosshairs, no reticule, no firing arcs, so you really kind of have to learn to shoot with the trajectories and the ranges, and you'll see later on how tricky it can be to actually hit ships unless you're right up next to them. This is what the plank of wood is used for. It's not used for hitting people on the head. This is not a zombie game. It's used for repairing the hull. I probably should have gone down to the lower deck, not the mid deck, but I've decided that that was boring, and now we're going to steal their ship. And I think they have the same idea. So the orange named crew members are the quote-unquote enemy crew, or the other crew, and the green ones are friendlies. And what we end up getting is an interesting mix of crew members on either and opposite ships. So I, at a certain point, decided to fully commit to stealing this ship in the hopes that, you know, we had enough people on the other one, but it sort of quickly becomes clear that we don't, and without any of the weapons, the cutlass and the blunderbuss were two weapons that sort of were mentioned as being in the final version of the game. They weren't activated for this demo because I think they wanted to highlight some different features in a shorter period of time. So we're kind of standing around wanting to hurt each other, but we can't, until of course I very quickly decide to embrace my new crew and sink the older ship. I really just wanted to sink a ship. Now, short of me kind of looping a shot and then looking back down to see whether it's hit, it's kind of tricky, as you can see, if you want to maintain what you believe to be the optimal firing arc to hit a ship, and being able to fire at a great sort of the maximum rate of knots. This is me mashing the right trigger to fire. You really can't check to see where your shots are hitting until we're sort of this close, and that was a terrible, terrible shot to finish off that salvo. I don't know who lowered the anchor. I know that in the past we did use it for the boating equivalent of a handbrake turn, and this is the other, our ship, our original ship, coming past us and giving us hell. Well, we get some good shots in, but I imagine that below decks is not looking too dry right now. I think for a moment there I thought they were sinking, maybe they still are, but no. No, of course they're not sinking. I'm told that, you know, you should be aiming kind of close to the waterline. These holes here don't have water coming in, obviously, because they're not below the waterline, whereas I think I go down below decks eventually, figure it out. Is quite flooded at this stage. Nope. Cannon fire means I'm back to the top. Is it coming around the other side? Right beside us. Oh, look at this. This is piratey goodness. Some great exchange of shots. I've tried to figure out exactly what happens here. What I believe happens is that we actually succeed in sinking this ship. I'm taking that, which is why we get the black screen, because once your ship's gone, as you'll see later in this demo, it will reset you back, for purposes of this demo, it will reset you back on a nearby beach with your ship back in action. But because we owned the original ship, we all got reset, even though a few of us had mutinied. So back to what we had before. See how slowly it goes with just me? A little bit faster with some helping hook hands. And I think there's a third person there, and it's all quick. But if you're tactically going to be dropping the anchor for a handbrake turn, which is not the decision of the helmsman, is the decision of whoever is closest to it, so you can kind of disobey orders and be a bit mutinous, you are really leaving your ship in the lurch for, well, quite a while, especially if you've got other people working cannons and sails and things. It can feel quite arduous to bring it back up. So I'm thinking that's the same island. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. But we're heading back over to get a bit of revenge, ironically on the ship that I was on with someone, two other crew members that we used to sink our ship and got reset. There's a bit of a biff going on, but looks like that second ship has pulled out, or maybe it's going for a sneaky flank. Oh no, they're still firing. You can see a lot of those shots are falling short. I've decided to fill the time with another rendition of, I was going to say Flight of the Conchords, Flight of the Valkyries. I think at this stage we're kind of aware that we're running out of time, and the idea is to get over there as quickly as possible and try to actually sink a ship as a crew. I've just drunk grog. So this is sort of what happens to the controls. I think I was a bit worried about falling off the ship. I had done that in the previous demo after drinking too much grog, and as you can see, firing cannons while under the influence of piratey grog is not a good idea. I don't know where my shot's going. We've just sailed past two ships that have decided that they want to continue the sinking us trend. Look at that. I love how Rare is trying to strike this balance between accessibility, but also, like, by the nature of not having heavy UI and crosshair and firing arcs and things like that on the cannons, it makes it a little bit more hardcore, and sinking another ship isn't just easily determined, and you really are reliant on your teammates. Here we go. That's what the bottom deck looks like. I'm assuming drowning will be there in the final version of the game. In this demo, it is not present, obviously, as you can see us running around without worrying about our digital lungs, trying our best to plug up the holes. I'm not sure if drainage will be involved, you'll have any manual control over drainage, or whether your fate is kind of sealed once there's too much water in the bottom deck. You'll certainly see soon enough what it looks like when there's too much water in the mid deck as well. But as you can see, we have fully abandoned the idea of going and exploring an island, but waiting in ambush. And if this ambush doesn't work, I dare say we're in a very, very bad position, because they can just sail rings around us and keep the broadside facing us. So you obviously need someone controlling and steering the ship. Well, ideally, you don't need them to do that. I'd certainly abandoned my post a few times to jump on a cannon. But 5 people per ship, which is what the Rare developers I spoke to said is kind of the maximum that they're aiming for at this stage. So you shouldn't expect massive, ships that require 20 people. This is, once again, how I buy time when I'm waiting for an angle. Our captain's doing a good job of spinning us around. And you'll see my impatient first shot does not go where you would hope it would, but I guess that's some physics coming into account. Taking into account the forward momentum of the ship, and the fact that they are still, probably wisely so, and that I'm on the rearmost cannon, so the people next to me that you can also hear firing are struggling more than I am. I don't know if I get any hits here. I'd like to claim anything that hit the ship as mine, but as you can see, the cannon barrel blocks the view, and they are, oh god, they're getting some good shots in there. I'm wondering if it would be possible to actually kill avatars with cannonballs. That one probably should have taken my head off. I've decided to be team player and fix the holes, but probably not those holes. We need to go downstairs first, and things are starting to look rather dire. Maybe those barrels will be useful for refilling grog. Once again, they did mention that they had specifically disabled certain features that will be in the final version of the game, just to keep it kind of more focused on a little bit of exploration, a little bit of a taste of ship combat, given the fact that it was, you know, a just under 20-minute demo, which we're not too far away from the end of, to be honest. So we've survived. That ship is, our ship is listing quite heavily, which I believe I misinterpret as the anchor being down is the reason why we're listing. I don't know why the anchor was pulled, but I've certainly got that sinking feeling as another ship comes in on the horizon to probably try to finish us off. There we go, there's me helping out my buddy. And it's quite peaceful when you're not involved in cannon fire and the sound of the waves that we seem to be getting closer and closer and closer to. Imagine I had a bit of a mental freak out seeing this ship coming in, believing that it was sinking because it's hidden behind a wave, or that it's some sort of Davy Jones Flying Dutchman ship. I don't know. Turns out it's just a wave in front of it. I don't know, like, what we would have done differently. It seemed to be, we're hitting that ship pretty hard, I'd like to believe. And then once again, the anchor is lowered for no reason. I think we had a troll playing with us. And that's the water making its way up to the mid-deck. Bit hopeless, but, you know, I'm not beyond trying to save the day with a hopeless cause. But soon enough you'll see it's all too late. I'm actually listening to the sound of this through headphones, and it sounds great. So if you do have headphones, I'd recommend re-listening to this. I'll likely upload a version with my commentary and one clean of it, and that's it. There's the ship going under. Look at those gorgeous graphics. You can see it sinking beneath the waves there as I paddle furiously to try and get some sort of revenge, even though I can't really interact with the ship outside of having my own cannon. And you're about to see our final reset. We did not do well at all. We didn't even have the excuse of having been a few beers down. But another gorgeous, what is that, a sunset in the background, probably, heading back towards the nighttime cycle. I'm not sure of the duration of the day-night cycle, but as you can see in this demo, I think that they just wanted to highlight the fact that it's actually there. As we look at a very beautiful view, raising the anchor by myself. Come on guys, help me out. There we go. And those ropes off to the side control the sails. This particular ship has front and rear masts, as you can see. I'm told that lone wolf players have not been sort of forgotten. You will be able to have single person tubs, as well as you would imagine incrementally up from there, up until the 5 maximum. As Lucky Lou looks off into the horizon and downs a mug of grog. What a way to finish. So as you can see, the sails are pointed off to the right, but the wind is coming across us. My goodness, I should have gotten better at my nautical terms before doing this voiceover. Apologies. Gorgeous sunset off to the right. And we're not doing too well in terms of speed, because if you remember the position that the sails were set versus where that wind is heading over top, as indicated by the white markers. Well, there's a sea battle in the distance, and I've decided to create the soundtrack for. No surprises, just the one song available. You would hope that there is more than that. One of the best things about Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag was the ability to collect, well, I mean, the pirate stuff was the best part, but the ability to collect the music, the different music for your crew to sing, I particularly enjoyed because I spent a lot of time on the open sea. And this demo is about to end, so we try to frantically get over there. Sea of Thieves is coming out in 2017, and I hope you enjoyed the video.